Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you could make small changes that make you happier every day? Those small adjustments that seem insignificant at first have an incredible power to transform your perspective, your well-being, and your inner peace. In this video, we are going to explore 14 changes inspired by Stoicism that, if you apply them, will help you find more balance and satisfaction in your daily life. Before you start, invite you to share in the comments which of these changes seems most important to you or which one you are already applying in your life. Your experiences and reflections could inspire someone else who needs that extra push to improve their day. Do not underestimate the impact that your words can have on others, and before you start, do not forget to like this video if you like the content and subscribe to the Activate the Bell channel so that you don't miss any of our next videos. Now yes, let's start. First change. Practice conscious silence. You have realized how much noise there is in our day today. I am not referring only to external noise such as traffic or constant phone notifications, but also to internal noise, that voice in your head that never stops talking. Many times that voice is full of worries, judgments, and distractions that they prevent us from enjoying the present. Here comes Stoicism with a practice that may seem simple but is tremendously powerful. Conscious silence. The Stoics valued silence not as an absence of words, but as a space to reflect, recharge, and find clarity. Marcus Aurelius said the art of living is more like the art of the fighter than that of the dancer, in that it requires being prepared to face the unexpected, and to be prepared we need to learn to listen not only to the outside world, but also to ourselves. Practicing conscious silence means giving yourself small moments a day to be calm without distractions. It can be in the morning while drinking your coffee, on public transport, or before sleeping. In those minutes, avoid filling the space with music, social networks, or thoughts about what you have to do. Just breathe, observe what you want, surround and let your thoughts flow without judging them, because this is important for your happiness, because we live in a world that requires us to constantly react, and that mental noise drains us. By giving you permission to be silent even for a few minutes, you give your mind a break. It's like restarting a computer that has been running non-stop. Plus, conscious silence helps you make better decisions. Many times we react on impulse because we don't give ourselves time to think. When you practice silence, you create a space to evaluate your emotions and responses. This makes you less reactive and more in control of your actions, something that the Stoics considered essential for a virtuous life. Start with 5 minutes a day, turn everything off, sit in a comfortable place, and just breathe. You don't need to do anything else. Those 5 minutes can become a tool to manage stress, recover energy, and above all, reconnect with yourself. As Seneca said, where there is silence, there is strength. In that space of tranquility in you find not only calm but also clarity to face life with more serenity. What do you think? Do you dare to seek a few minutes of silence today? Second change. Live in the present. How often do you find yourself trapped thinking about what happened yesterday or what could happen tomorrow? Sometimes it seems that our mind is anywhere but in the here and now. But as I saw, Stoicism teaches us, life happens in this moment, not in the past or in the future. So one of the most powerful changes you can make to be happier is to learn to live fully in the present. Marco Aurelio said something that hits hard when you reflect on it. Man lives just an instant and everything else is pastime or uncertain. In a nutshell, the only moment we really possess is this right now. However, we spend much of our lives longing for what was, or worrying about what could be. What we get with it: emotional exhaustion and many times a deep sense of dissatisfaction. Living in the present does not mean ignoring the past or neglecting the future. It means not letting go to be controlled by the past. It can no longer be changed, but you can learn from it. The future is uncertain, but you can prepare to face it. However, the only thing you have assured is this instant, and what you do with it define how the rest of your life will feel. Now, how you can start living in the present. Something as simple as focusing on your senses is a good starting point. Take a moment to feel the air on your face, observe the colors around you, listen to the sounds of the place where you are. This helps you anchor yourself to the time, to get out of that tangle of thoughts that constantly drag you away from the present moment. Another practical tip is to learn to manage your thoughts. When you notice that your mind is wandering to the past or the future, do not punish yourself. Simply bring it back to the hour gently. It is like training a muscle. At first it is difficult, but over time it becomes more natural. The benefit of this change is enormous. Living in the present, it allows you to enjoy more of the small moments, those that we often overlook because we are too busy in our heads. It helps you reduce anxiety because you are not constantly anticipating problems that may never happen, and it also improves your relationships because people around you, they feel when you are truly present with them. Seneca said, as we waste our time vacillating and procrastinating, life slips away. Every day is a unique opportunity, and living in the present ensures you make the most of it. Third change, accept difficulties as part of the path. No one likes to face problems, true, but here is an uncomfortable truth. Difficulties are inevitable, no matter how much you plan or how cautious you are. There will always be difficulties in life, and Stoicism gives us a useful tool, changing how we see these difficulties rather than avoiding or opposing them. What would happen if accepting them as a natural part of the Seneca path expressed it masterfully? Life is not waiting for the storm to pass, but learning to dance in the rain. Aids are not there to stop, but to teach you something, to strengthen yourself. This change of mentality is powerful because it transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. Imagine that you are going through a bad time at work, perhaps with a demanding boss or with too much workload. It is normal to feel frustrated, but if you apply this Stoic principle, you can ask yourself, what I can learn from this situation? How can I come out of this stronger or wiser? Suddenly the problem stops to be just a problem and it becomes an opportunity to improve. The Stoics had a concept called amor fati, which means to love your destiny. This does not imply resignation, but to embrace everything that life brings you, both the good and the bad. It is to understand that even difficult experiences have a purpose and can shape you for the better. How you can apply this in your daily life: when you face an obstacle, take a deep breath and instead of reacting with frustration, look for the learning or opportunity that is hidden there. It can be something as small as an argument with a friend who teaches you to communicate better, or as big as a loss that makes you value more what you have. Accepting difficulties does not mean that you like them or that you do not try to overcome them. It means that you stop wasting energy on resisting the inevitable and use it to move forward with purpose. This frees you from a lot of stress and allows you to face life with more serenity. Marco Aurelio summed it up perfectly. What gets in the way becomes the path. In other words, problems are not barriers. They are part of the process that leads you to be a better version of yourself. Fourth change, simplifies your life. We live in a time where it seems that more is always better. More things, more commitments, more activities, more of everything. But if instead of looking for more you will focus on less, the Stoics believed that simplicity is not only desirable, but essential to living a happy and balanced life. Seneca said, it is poor, not the one who has little, but the one who desires more. And here is the key. It is not about how much you have, but about how much you really need to feel at peace. Simplify your life does not mean that you should get rid of everything or give up on your dreams, but that you begin to identify what is really important to you. Many times we fill our lives with things, activities, or people that do not bring us anything and instead generate stress and exhaustion. By simplifying, you recover time, energy, and above all clarity. How you can apply this: start with something small. For example, in your physical space, how many things you have accumulated that you don't really use. Tidying up your environment not only frees up space, but also your mind. Another example is your calendar. You are saying yes to too many commitments that you don't really enjoy. Learn to prioritize and say no when something doesn't align with your values or your goals. The Stoics also talked about simplifying in the mental realm. Epictetus taught that we shouldn't worry about things that are out of our control, because that alone unnecessarily complicates our mind. So ask yourself, how many of your current problems are things you don't really have influence over? Letting go of those worries is another way to simplify. Simplicity also connects you to the essentials. When you eliminate noise and clutter, you realize what truly matters: your relationships, your well-being, your purpose. This allows you to live with more intention and enjoy more of each moment. A practical exercise you can do is to ask yourself, this brings happiness, purpose, or value to my life? If the answer is no, consider letting it go. You will see that simplifying not only reduces stress, but also gives you a sense of freedom and lightness. Marcus Aurelius said, true wealth consists in being able to live with little at the same time. Simplify your life. Not only do you discover that you need less than you thought, but you open yourself up to enjoying more of what you already have. Fifth change. Spend time on introspection. When was the last time you really stopped to reflect on your life in this fast-paced world? We go from one activity to another without stopping to think about how we are living, what we feel, or where we are headed. This is where an essential principle of Stoicism enters. Introspection. To be happier, you need to regularly take time to look inward and evaluate your life honestly. Epictetus expressed it directly. Constantly examine your thoughts and actions. The Stoics were great advocates of keeping an internal record, a daily analysis of their decisions, emotions, and behaviors. It was not about criticizing or punishing yourself, but about learning and continuously improving. Spending time on the introspection may seem complicated at first, but it doesn't have to be. You can start with a simple habit at the end of each day. Set aside a few minutes to ask yourself 3 key things. What I did right today, what I could have done better. What I learned. Writing these reflections in a notebook not only helps you clarify your thoughts, but also becomes a powerful tool for your personal growth. Why is this habit important? Introspection allows you to identify patterns in your life. Perhaps you realize that you react with frustration to certain situations, or that you are spending too much time on things that don't really matter to you. When you reflect, you become aware, and with it, the control of your life. In addition, this time of self-evaluation helps you stay aligned with your values. The Stoics believe that true happiness comes from living according to your principles, and introspection is the means to make sure that you are not deviating. Something that I love about this habit is how it transforms your relationship with yourself. Many times we are our harshest critics, but introspection is not about judging yourself, but about understanding yourself. It allows you to be more compassionate with yourself and at the same time more responsible for your actions. Marco Aurelio practiced this habit every day and reflected it in his famous work Meditation. Said, "Spend time, examine yourself. If you find something wrong, correct it. If you find something good, celebrate it." This approach not only helps you improve, but also allows you to appreciate your own achievements, no matter how small. So why not try tonight before sleeping? Take a few minutes to reflect on your day. You don't need anything more than a moment of silence and sincerity with yourself. I promise that with time, this small adjustment will help you live with greater clarity and intention. The 6th change, of course, is to prioritize quality over quantity. We live in a world where having more friends on social media, more activities throughout the day, and more material possessions all seem to be better. But have you ever felt that this does not fill the void that sometimes seems to be filled by the Stoics, teaching us that it is not about having a lot, but about having the right thing, to focus on quality instead of quantity? Seneca said it so well, "It is not the amount of time we have, but how we use it." This principle applies to everything, including your relationships, daily activities, and possessions. Consider this. How many times have you been in a large crowd? Having a small but genuine circle of people who understand and support you is worth much more than having hundreds of superficial acquaintances. Spend time building these relationships and being present with those who truly matter to you rather than trying to cover everything. This also applies to how you manage your time. Sometimes we overcommit to tasks and commitments in an attempt to feel productive, but instead we end up exhausted and not enjoying anything. The Stoics talked about focusing on virtuous actions, those that truly have meaning, because if you do what matters, you will live with greater purpose and satisfaction. Because wealth is the nature of the mind. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The richest man is the one who is content with little." Realizing that you need much less to be happy is the result of shifting your focus from quantity to quality. How do you begin making quality a priority in your life? Make a small list of the things you value the most, your relationships, your projects, your important objects. Then ask yourself, I am giving the time, attention, and care they deserve. If you don't start adjusting your priorities, learn to let go of what doesn't add up, what doesn't fulfill you, and focus on what really matters. This change not only reduces stress and overload, but also amplifies your happiness. Focusing on quality allows you to enjoy more of each experience, each connection, and each moment. 7th change, make peace with the uncertainty. Have you noticed how much time we spend trying to control the uncontrollable? We want to make sure everything goes according to the plan, avoid surprises, and minimize risks. But here is the truth. Life is uncertain and always will be. The Stoics did not teach us that accepting uncertainty is not only necessary but liberating. Instead of fighting against it, learning to live with the unknown can bring you a more authentic happiness. Marcus Aurelius, he expressed it wisely, don't let the future disturb you. You will face it if necessary with the same weapons of reason with which you face the present. In other words, worry about what could happen, it doesn't change anything. The key is to trust that you will be able to handle whatever comes when it comes. Accepting uncertainty does not mean that you leave everything to chance or that you do not plan. Of course, you can set goals and work towards them. But you also need to understand that not everything depends on you. Some things will just happen, and resisting that reality only generates stress and anxiety. On the contrary, when you accept the predictable, you free yourself from the burden of trying to control the uncontrollable. Identifying the things that concern you but are beyond your control, like the weather, other people's choices, or unforeseen events at work, is the first step in finding a way to accept insertion. After identifying those areas and making a deliberate effort to let go of them, concentrate on the things you can control, such as your attitude, choices, and reactions to situations. Imagining potential future events, both positive and negative, and emotionally preparing for them is a useful strategy used by the Stoics. This is not to be pessimistic, but realistic. Epictetus said, "Do not look for the things happen the way you want them to happen if you don't want them to happen as they do, and your life will go well." This change in mindset can help you face the unexpected with more calm and confidence. In addition, remember that uncertainty also has a positive side. It is in the unknown where we often find the best opportunities, the most valuable lessons, and the most memorable experiences. Without uncertainty, life would be predictable and boring. The next time you feel that anxiety about not knowing what's coming, take a deep breath and remind yourself you don't need to have all the answers now. Trust in your ability to adapt and move forward no matter what happens. You dare to let go of control a little and embrace uncertainty as part of the journey. 8th, change. Practice virtue in your actions. Have you ever thought about what it really means to live a good life? For the Stoics, the answer was clear: living with virtue. And no, it's not about being perfect or following a rigid code, but about aligning your actions with your deepest values. Happiness, according to them, is not found in pleasure or possessions, but in doing the right thing, even when no one is looking. Marcus Aurelius said it simply: if it's good for you, do it. If not, don't. This principle may seem basic, but if you apply it consistently, it can completely transform how you relate to yourself and others. Practicing virtue means living justly, honesty, courage, and temperance. You don't need to make big heroic gestures. It's about the small day-to-day decisions. For example, being honest in a difficult conversation, keeping your promises, even if it's awkward, or acting patiently when someone irritates you. Each of these actions, it strengthens your character and, as a result, makes you feel more at peace with yourself. The interesting thing is that this approach not only benefits you, but also those around you. When you live with virtue, you become an example for others, and your positive actions can inspire changes in your community. Seneca said, "Virtue gnosis public, it is sufficient for itself." This means that you do not need external recognition to find satisfaction in doing the right thing. Simply knowing that you acted according to your principles is enough. How you can start practicing virtue in your daily life. First, identify what are the most important values for you. Is honesty, empathy, commitment. Once you have clarity, ask yourself, I am living according to these values. What small actions I can do today to get closer to them? The challenge is that in times of stress or temptation, it is easy to get sidetracked, but here is the trick: do not seek perfection, look for progress. Every time you choose to act with virtue, you are strengthening a habit that over time will be more natural. The benefit of this change is that it gives you an internal guide to live. Instead of relying on external factors to feel good, you find satisfaction in knowing that you are acting according to what really matters. That gives you a more stable happiness, because it is not based on what happens around you, but on what happens inside you. 9th, change. Appreciate the small moments. How many times have you really stopped to enjoy a simple moment? Can be it the aroma of coffee in the morning, a conversation with a friend, or even the sound of the wind in everyday life. It is easy to overlook these little things because we are too busy thinking about what comes next or what we are missing. But here is a small change that can transform your life. Learn to appreciate the small moments, because true happiness is usually hidden in them. Marco Aurelio, I understood it well when he wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts, and what thoughts could be better than those that focus on the beautiful and simple things in life?" Many times we look for great events or achievements to feel happy, but we forget that life is made up of those everyday details that if we ignore them, we let life itself pass. Appreciating the small moments does not mean ignoring the goals, big or important challenges, but find joy on the way to them. For example, if you are working a project, instead of waiting to finish to feel satisfaction, stop to enjoy the steps you take, the ideas that arise, and the small advances you achieve each moment. Tells how you can apply this in a practical way. Try this exercise every day. Find at least 3 small things that make you feel grateful or happy. Can be as simple as the warmth of the sun, a meal you enjoyed, or the fact that you had a moment of laughter. Write them down or simply repeat them in your mind. This habit, although simple, helps you train your mind to focus on the positive. The benefit of this change is that it connects you with the present and helps you value what you already have. When you learn to find joy in the little ones, moments you stop depending so much on big events to feel happy, this not only makes you more resilient in the face of challenges, but also allows you to enjoy life more. As it is, Seneca summed it up perfectly. There is no greater pleasure than living satisfied with what you have, and many times what you have at this moment is more than enough if you learn to see it carefully. So why not start today? Take a moment right now to look around and find something you can appreciate. Maybe it's this moment of calm or the simple fact of being here, learning and growing. You are encouraged to try 10th change. Appreciate the small moments. How many times have you really stopped to enjoy a simple moment? It can be the aroma of coffee in the morning, a conversation with a friend, or even the sound of the wind in the day-to-day. It is easy to overlook these little things because we are too busy thinking about what comes next or what we are missing. But here is a small change that can transform your life. Learn to appreciate the small moments because true happiness is usually hidden in them. Marco Aurelio understood it well when he wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts and what you want." Thoughts could be better than those that focus on the beautiful and simple in life. Many times we look for great events or achievements to feel happy, but we forget that life is made up of those everyday details that if we ignore them, we let life itself pass. Appreciating the small moments does not mean ignoring big goals or important challenges, but finding joy on the way to it. For example, if you are working hard in a project, instead of waiting to finish to feel satisfaction, stop and enjoy the steps you take, the ideas that arise, and the small advances you achieve. Each moment tells how you can apply this in a practical way. Try this exercise every day. Find at least 3 small things that make you feel grateful or happy. They can be as simple as the warmth of the sun, a meal you enjoyed, or the fact that you had a moment of laughter. Write them down or simply repeat them in your mind. This habit, although simple, it helps you train your mind to focus on the positive. The benefit of this change is that it connects you with the present and helps you value what you already have. When you learn to find joy in the small moments, you stop depending so much on big events to feel happy. This not only makes you more resilient in the face of challenges, but it also allows you to enjoy life more. As it is, Seneca summed it up perfectly. There is no greater pleasure than living satisfied with what you have, and many times what you have at this moment is more than enough if you learn to see it carefully. So why not start today? Take a moment right now to look around and find something that you can. Perhaps it is this moment of calm or the simple fact of being here, learning and growing. You are encouraged to try a 10th change. Stop comparing yourself with others. It has happened to you that you are having a good day, but suddenly you see someone on social networks with a new car, an incredible vacation, or an impressive achievement, and all your well-being vanishes. Is a trap in which many of us fall. Compare ourselves with others without. However, Stoicism teaches us that happiness is not in what others have or do, but in living according to your own values and goals. Epictetus reminds us, don't look for things to happen the way you want them to happen. You want them to happen as they do, and your life will go well. To put it another way, instead of wasting energy hoping for someone else's life, concentrate on enhancing and enjoying your own. The issue with self-comparison is that there will always be someone who seems happier, has more, or does more, but you are blind to their hardships, sacrifices, and issues. Particularly in this day of social media, when nobody shares their terrible days, comparisons are unfair because you're comparing your own life to the meticulously manicured portrayal of others' lives. The first step in stopping self-comparison is to remember that everyone has a different path. If you're doing the best you can with what you have, then you're on the right track. Another useful tip is to limit the amount of time you spend on social media. If it makes you feel inferior or like you're not doing enough, use that time to focus on your own goals, learn something new, or engage in activities that truly fill you. When you realize that you don't need to compete with anyone but yourself, you start to live with greater peace and authenticity. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul is dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you constantly think about what you're doing, others have, and you don't fill your mind with dissatisfaction. But if you focus on your own achievements, no matter how small, you stain your life with gratitude and joy. 12th change. Embrace the power of detachment. How many times have you held on to something or someone only to realize that that connection was doing you more harm than good? Detachment is a powerful concept in Stoicism, not because it implies not loving or not to care, but because it teaches us to live without emotionally depending on external things for our happiness. Epictetus explained it masterfully. Remember that you do not possess what you love. It has simply been entrusted to you for a while. This includes our relationships, our material possessions, and even our own goals. Everything in life is temporary. And when we accept this, instead of fearing, we find a freer and more authentic way to live. Detachment, it doesn't mean that you stop valuing what you have. On the contrary, it allows you to fully enjoy it while it's in your life without the constant fear of losing it. For example, if you love your job but become obsessed with the idea of losing it, you live in anxiety. However, if you work with dedication while accepting that the future is uncertain, you find peace in the present. How you can practice detachment. Start by identifying the areas of your life where you feel that you cling too much. Maybe it's a relationship in which you are afraid of losing the other person, or a material object that you give too much importance to. Ask yourself, if this seems like tomorrow, what would I still have inside me? This exercise helps you recognize that your value and happiness do not depend entirely on external factors. Detachment also helps you deal better with adversity. If you lose something or someone important, the Stoic philosophy invites you to accept that loss as part of the natural flow of life. It does not mean that it does not hurt, but it does mean that you can find strength in understanding that everything is transit. Marcus Aurelius said, "Remember that everything you love has the potential to disappear. Love, but without attachment, and you will find true peace." This perspective may seem difficult at first, but with practice you will realize that detachment, it does not take you away from life, but allows you to live it with more fulfillment. 13th change. Practice patience. Have you ever felt that the world is going too fast and that everything must happen right now? Impatience has become one of the biggest sources of stress in our lives. We want immediate results, quick responses, and instant solutions. But what if we learn to value time and process instead of constantly rushing? This is where Stoicism invites us to cultivate patience as an essential virtue for a happier life. Mint expressed it beautifully. Time discovers the truth. Sometimes what we need is not more action or more control, but simply waiting and trusting that things will unfold at the right time. Patience is not passivity. It is the strength of accepting that not everything happens when we want to, but when it should happen. Practicing patience helps you manage better daily frustrations. Think about it. How many times have you lost your temper over something small, like waiting in line or dealing with a delay? Each of those situations is an opportunity to train your patience instead of resisting. Try to accept them as part of life. Breathe deeply. Relax your shoulders and remember that this moment, although annoying, will not last forever. Patience is also key to bigger goals. The Stoics understood that things that are really worthwhile require time and effort. Marco Aurelio said, "Nothing great is created overnight." If you are working on a project, building a relationship, or facing a personal challenge, patience allows you to move forward calmly, without despairing for immediate results. How you can start cultivating this virtue. A practical exercise is to identify your impatience triggers. It can be traffic, a wait at the doctor, or even an argument with someone close to you. In those moments, instead of reacting immediately, pause, ask yourself, is it really worth stressing about this? How can I practice being calm right now? Patience has several advantages. It not only lowers stress, but also improves decision-making and increases enjoyment of the process. You begin to see time as an ally rather than an opponent, something that, if you let it, might work to your advantage. Why don't we begin today? The next time you feel like you're losing your temper, take a moment to calm yourself and remind yourself that everything happens for a reason. A tiny adjustment that may make a tremendous difference in your life is learning to be patient. We often get so preoccupied with our own problems that we lose sight of the transformational potential of helping others, even if it is only in a tiny way. The secret is that when you assist others successfully, you also benefit yourself. According to Marcus Aurelius, the Stoics were fully aware of this and believed that serving others was a necessary component of leading a moral and happy life. This reminder encourages us to look beyond ourselves, since, at our core, what is bad for the bee is bad for the beehive. Our activities have an effect on the community, no matter how big or little, to which we belong. We deepen that connection and discover meaning in something greater than ourselves when we serve others. You don't have to alter the world or make big financial donations. Service doesn't have to be huge or difficult. Even something as simple as listening to someone complain, helping them with a basic chore, or just expressing encouragement may have a big impact on someone's day. The interesting thing is that service also frees us from the trap of the ego. By focusing on the needs of others, you stop focusing so much on your own problems, which often reduces stress and helps you see things from a broader perspective, she said. When you give, you not only enrich the recipient, but also yourself. You want to start look for opportunities in your immediate environment. Maybe you can help a colleague who is struggling with a task, spend time with a friend who is lonely, or even get involved in a community project. Don't underestimate the impact of your actions, no matter how small they are. Every gesture counts. The benefit of this change is bidirectional. By serving, you not only improve the lives of others, but also your own. You will find satisfaction, connection, and above all a sense of purpose that goes beyond your own desires or problems. So why not try it today? Spend a moment thinking, how can I be useful to someone else? Remember that, as Epictetus said, no one. You are truly free if you are not dedicated to helping others. Service is a way to free your soul and find happiness in connecting with others.